I, 40 female, am significantly older than my sister, 25. As such, after she was born, my parents repeatedly looked over and parentified me in favor of her. Examples include giving her my old clothes and toys without my permission, rather than preserving them as a keepsake of my childhood. In short, my inner child has had a lot of healing to do over the years. I'm in low contact with my parents and sister, but apparently she's engaged and wants me to be a part of the wedding party. Now, I'm not comfortable around children of any age. It's part of my trauma. Being around them for me comes with a sense of responsibility that reminds me of the neglect I suffered at the hands of my family. My sister knows this, so I assumed that with her asking me to be in the wedding would be child-free. During a discussion, she mentioned that her fiancé's best friend's daughter would serve as a flower girl, and our cousin's son would be the ring bearer. I reminded her that I would not be comfortable around children and expressed my disappointment that she would invite me to be in a wedding that's not child-free. She looked sad for a second and told me that there were many young children and families that were close to her and her fiancé, and the day would feel incomplete without them. If I wasn't comfortable around children to that extent, she would understand if I couldn't attend. I was shocked that she would uninvite me in favor of some random kids, and it reminded me of being thrown aside in favor of her when we were young, so I left to collect myself. I attempted to ask my parents to talk some sense into her, but surprise, surprise, they took her side. At this point, I was profoundly hurt and needed an outlet, so I did something that might make me an idiot. I'm friends with some of the family members on Facebook, and I made a post about how my sister was kicking me out of the wedding and that my parents were taking her side, all because of the trauma that they contributed to themselves. I didn't go into detail because I didn't think it was anyone else's business. I just wanted to vent. Now people are refusing to go to my sister's wedding unless I'm reinstated as part of the wedding. She and my parents are begging me to come, but still refusing to budge on the children being there, so it doesn't make much difference. I feel bad because I didn't know that our family would refuse to come, but I cannot go to an event with many children running around and retract my statement because I don't want the family to think I lied. Am I the idiot for refusing to go? Edit. I am in therapy. My therapist is incredible and helped me realize how heavily my past has affected me. I have yet to discuss my Facebook post with her, but we'll see what she says. Also, I was once left alone with my sister for 2 days and 1 night after my grandfather died when my parents had to leave the state. I wanted to be with my grandmother and family too, but my sister, who was 9 then and easily could have stayed with a friend or something, obviously just had to come first. You are the idiot. Your parents giving your hand-me-downs to your sister is not parentification. It's economics. You didn't lose your childhood because your sister wore your old sweatshirt or played in your old playpen, or that you were asked to babysit once during a family emergency. One could easily turn things around, and your sister could complain that she was treated worse because while her older sister got all her things new, she had to make do with 15-year-old leftovers. Jesus, lady, your sister didn't uninvite you. She accepted that you declined the invitation because apparently being within 100 feet of anyone under 18 gives you hives. Blasting her all over social media and deliberately omitting details so she would look like the villain is the true cherry on the cake. Absolutely this. OP reeks of manipulation and entitlement. Clearly didn't cope well with not being an only child anymore. I'd love some examples of parentification too. At this rate, she was probably paid to babysit. I was emotionally exhausted just reading this story. I can't imagine how worn out her family feels. Also, I'm sitting here yet again, reflecting on how easy it is to manipulate therapists to validate bad behavior. OP is such a, how to put it, interesting view of how her parents harmed her that I almost wonder if she has the opposite interpretation of what the therapist says. Darling, you have an issue about making everything about you, don't you? I would be willing to guess that your trauma wasn't about being parentified, but about no longer being the baby of the family. You're not traumatized. Everything you experienced was a normal part of being a family. You're just a person who takes every excuse to be miserable. Your whole story reeks of jealousy. I, 29 male, and my wife, 30, have been together for 7 years and married for 4. Last year, she came up with the idea of an open relationship to try out new things. I said it's not something comfortable for me and would like to stay monogamous. It felt weird because it came out of nowhere. We were doing well and planning to build a family together. After my reply, she insisted a lot. In the end, I decided to give it a try. Here are the boundaries she set. You should always prioritize the spouse instead of the other partner. Always use protection. Do not bring the partner to the shared house. Do not form overly emotional connections. I told her I wasn't sure if I could do some of these things. I'm an emotional person, though I love the physical part too. She said it's okay. I will be able to do it, and it's hard for men to form emotional relationships in such cases anyway. She found a partner quickly and easily. My wife was my first relationship partner, so I wasn't confident in myself. I didn't have great choices when I was in my 20s. Eventually, after clearing out most of my work, I decided to try finding a partner in my spare time. Surprisingly, I was flocked with interest from younger women and women around my age. I knew maturing and aging did a great job for me, but not to this extent. I started talking to multiple people, but decided to go ahead with only one of them. When I shared this information with my wife, she seemed surprised, but congratulated me. She said she was shocked at how beautiful this woman was, and I was able to get her. It has been 10 months since I found a partner, but the more I got to know them and spend time with them, the more we formed an emotional connection. This woman is aware of my situation and respects my boundaries. I realized I lost my emotional and physical connection with my wife over time. I know one of the boundaries was about emotional connections and prioritizing the spouse, but I told her I wasn't sure if I could comply with some of these. I had a difficult talk with my wife last week about my situation. She immediately offered to close the relationship and go to couples counseling, but I'm not interested, to be honest. She feels no different than a friend to me. I'm afraid I built resentment for her due to the open relationship situation. I told her it would just extend the misery for me, and I'd like to have a divorce. She flipped and cried, saying I was throwing everything away just for a fling. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. A story as old as time. She dug her own grave here, and she already had someone in mind, which is why she pushed for it. You didn't throw everything away for a fling. That sounds like a projection on your wife's behalf, who seemed to have someone lined up very quickly. Yep, and just how much you want to bet that the partner she found quickly was lined up already? Given that she suggested this new arrangement out of nowhere and then conveniently insisted a lot until he gave in, 100% that other dude was already around in some way. She was already having an affair with the other person and did this to make herself feel less guilty. That's what I took from it too. The wife was both surprised that OP found someone and then surprised again at how beautiful the woman was. She liked the convenience of the marriage, and maybe her own fling isn't going as well. Dude, your wife took a huge risk opening up the marriage, and you were honest with her about your emotional connection personality. In my opinion, she's facing the consequences of her actions. Better off without her. Good luck with your future. I, 25 female, have been married to my husband for 2 years. We recently got our first home and are officially homeowners, so a few weeks ago, we decided to throw a big party with family and friends. We did have a bunch of alcoholic drinks and mixed drinks, but I had them separated because my sister-in-law is pregnant. My sister-in-law had 4 losses in the past. It's heart-wrenching, and I feel horrible for her. I've always been supportive. She has a form of PCOS. Anyway, at the party, I had told sister-in-law that the non-alcoholic drinks were in the indoor fridge and to feel free to make herself virgin drinks if she liked. I had mixed drinks on the table outside and in the outside cooler. Long story short, my sister-in-law ended up getting trashed and a week later lost her pregnancy. She's been blaming my husband and I since early January for this, sending us hateful messages spamming my phone, saying one of us must have mixed up the drinks, which didn't happen. When it first occurred, I told her I was so sorry, but it wasn't our fault. We had another guest drinking, and I had made her aware of what the other drinks were. 2 days ago, she tried pulling that stuff again when we ran into her while at my mother-in-law's, and again she said it and followed me through the house, arguing with me. I finally blew up and said, "You're the stupid one for A, not listening when I told you where the non-alcoholic drinks are, B, for continuing to drink because she had to have realized she was getting intoxicated, and C, this isn't our fault because you're already prone to a loss due to your conditions." She broke down in tears, crying and wailing, saying I wasn't sensitive, I was a horrible person. My mother-in-law asked us to leave. My husband and I feel bad for her situation, of course, but she's been harassing us for weeks. Sister-in-law texted me off brother-in-law's number because we blocked her, saying how she couldn't believe I was calling her stupid when her misfortune happened due to my party, how I needed to apologize, and how I've never been pregnant, so I'll never understand, and how alcohol feels different during pregnancy, how I was uneducated. Mother-in-law is backing her up. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister-in-law is unhappy and sensitive about her loss. I understand why she's feeling sad, moody, and possibly depressed, but that doesn't give her the right to go crazy on you. It sounds like you bent over backward to help. You kept separate drinks for her. You apologized. You apologized again. And she just wouldn't let up. It's perfectly reasonable for you to snap back when somebody keeps picking with no justification. I'm sorry, but this is tickling my conspiracy bone. Are you sure she was actually pregnant? I've known a lot of people who've struggled with fertility issues, and if they were 3 months pregnant and prone to a loss, they would have read the label 5 times and probably played it safe by just drinking water. I do not drink any alcohol, and I've never once ended up accidentally intoxicated. It's pretty evident on the first sip or two if a drink is something other than what I intended. Presuming brother-in-law and mother-in-law were at the party, why did neither of them notice she was getting tipsy and cut her off? I don't see how, as a host, you're somehow responsible for other people's actions or failure to act. Here's a slight twist to your theory. She probably lost her pregnancy before the party, drank away her sorrows, and now, for some reason, has made it her mission to take out her anger on OP, to have some excuse for an outlet for all the pain she's feeling. At 3 months pregnant, it would be odd for her not to notice how different drinks taste. I know not all pregnancies are the same. For me and the women I have in my life, we became more aware of our taste buds during pregnancy. Like, the pregnancy nose is wild. I could smell my husband's deodorant before he entered the room. I, 48 female, met my husband 8 years ago and his daughters, age 19 and young teen, 6 years ago. My husband divorced their mother 13 years ago. My husband has told me the whole story about the divorce, and while I won't go into detail as it's a long story, it wasn't amicable and really drove a wedge between him and his daughters, particularly his oldest. The other main thing that has gotten between my husband and his older daughter is that she's on the spectrum and has very little social awareness. Pretty much every time I see her, either I or someone else must get on her about time and place, as she tends to talk about things that aren't appropriate. When it happens, she brings up the divorce the most. She gets a kick out of telling family members and friends stories about her father, in which he's the bad guy. While these are true stories, a lot of what she tells people is exaggerated. I've asked her several times not to discuss her childhood or the divorce during family events, as I don't want our extended family and friends to view my husband in a negative light. A few weeks ago, during a back-to-school party after winter break, I overheard her telling her stepfather a story about a time where her dad was intoxicated. I stopped her and said that we had been over this, and at this point, I felt like she was doing it on purpose. She started to make all kinds of excuses, such as her stepfather asked her about it and her not making it up, and I told her it didn't matter and that she shouldn't be talking about it regardless. She walked away from me, which she tends to do during confrontation, and her mother came up to me about 10 minutes later and laid into me for yelling at her daughter. She told me she agreed about the lack of awareness and time and place, but that I needed to let her handle it because she's her mother and I barely know her, which is false. My husband has visitation and has the entire time I've known them. I don't know if I was wrong. I've talked to her about it so many times, and so I feel like it was at least partially warranted, but I'm curious what others think. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Your stepdaughter is an adult and was never your child. She has every right to talk about her own childhood and upbringing and is under no obligation to bottle that up to keep you comfortable or save face with the family. How you speak about her being on the spectrum drives the point home. You married a divorced man with kids. You don't get to decide their story. Yikes. Because of she tends to walk away from me during the confrontation, you do not have the right to a captive audience for your lectures just because you're upset at the situation. It sounds like you make a habit of confronting her like this, especially over this, and she's realized the best way to avoid that is just to walk away from you. Smart woman. Her, not you, obviously. Imagine marrying into a family and then telling a 19-year-old to not talk about their childhood to their own family. Far from protecting her husband's image, it makes me want to know more details about how bad her childhood was. I'd love to hear from this young woman for hours and hours, and like the stepfather, ask questions. What is OP trying to hide? I think OP was the mistress. My sister is a single mom to a tween, Joelle. My wife, son, preschooler, and I are staying with her temporarily while we get some repairs done in our house after a flood. We've seen their daily routine over the past few days, and it's a bit ridiculous. My sister gets up at 6 every morning, cleans Joelle's room, lays out her school uniform, makes her lunch, packs her backpack, wakes Joelle up, then makes her breakfast, while Joelle takes a shower and gets dressed. She walks Joelle to school, then gets back and starts working. A snack awaits Joelle when they get home, and Joelle does her homework at the table next to my sister while she works. Joelle plays while my sister cooks. They eat together. Joelle plays again while my sister cleans. Then my sister gets Joelle ready for bed, and then my sister gets the rest of the chores done. I told her that spoiling Joelle like this isn't helping anyone. It's crazy that Joelle doesn't clean her room, do her laundry, or even pack her backpack. My preschooler gets himself ready for daycare with less parent involvement than Joelle needs daily. My sister got defensive and is acting like we're bad parents for not doing this with my son. Now she says this isn't working and wants us to get into a hotel by the end of the week. My wife thinks I should have kept my mouth shut, but this girl will be going to middle school next year and can't pack her backpack? Am I the idiot for telling my sister she shouldn't be spoiling her kid like this? OMG, she feeds her child? How dare she make her kid a snack? You are the idiot. You are a guest in your sister's home and go and criticize her parenting? Your complaints are BS. Are you upset the kid is playing while her mom cooks? What do you want her to do? Cook her own dinner? Complaining that she does her homework next to her mom. She's a young tween. You want the kid to do her own laundry? I fear to find out how you treat your own son. I disagree. At her age, it's totally age appropriate to help cook dinner, or even cook a simple dinner by herself and do laundry. My aunt is precisely like OP's sister, raising her daughter exactly like how OP's sister is too. Today at age 16, my cousin, my aunt's daughter, is an extremely sheltered, entitled little brat, a baby, always a victim young woman. We often told my aunt that her parenting style was not good for her daughter in the long run. She didn't and doesn't listen. OP isn't wrong in thinking what his sister's doing is wrong in the long run, but he says it when he's her guest. That's not cool. Guest or not, you just need to mind your own business. You don't have a say in how your sibling raises their children. Period. Not your child, not your business. Repeat after me in case you don't understand. It doesn't matter whether OP has a point or not. The real issue is that it's none of his business or place to make comments. Shut up and stay in your lane.